Do you know what I have here, Lee?
Dry cleaning for a very tiny man? I don't know.
This is one of the few DVD slipcovers that are like a piece of clothing.
What?
So this is Bubba Ho-Tep's. There was one for like Northern Exposure. It was like the little like puffy vest thing. There's one for Back to the Future where it's like his little vest and thing. Grease had a leather coat and like the girl's like little pinky coat or whatever.
It's a little coat for your DVD.
Exactly.
This is delightful.
It's fantastic. I was at a gas station picking up a lottery ticket, and this was like just sitting there in like a little bin with DVDs, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Wait, like for sale?
Yeah.
Okay.
I bought it for $5.
What?
I was like, oh, it's like the special edition version. I'm like, this is crazy.
I figured you were gonna say like I went to a gas station and they were like, you won. They gave me this thing. Bruce Campbell's there. Hey kid, fill up. Something happened. Groovy. Just a cardboard cutout.
Yeah, super weird.
It says groovy. Is it actually like a more special edition too?
Not really.
Well, still, that's special enough. That's amazing. It doesn't fit on your shelf the same way though, right?
No, it annoys the shit out of me actually.
That's funny as shit. Okay.
All right, guys, here we're going to talk about the movie Bubba Ho-Tep. 2002's Bubba Ho-Tep. Lee, had you seen it before?
Yes!
All right,
I've finally
you've seen this
one.
one.
Yeah.
It's a Bruce Campbell, our boy. Of course you've seen this one.
We are huge fangirls for Bruce Campbell. Absolutely.
Indeed. That chin. That's all I need.
I don't know what it is, but something.
So Bubba Ho-Tep, as simply put, if you're not familiar with the concept, it is Elvis, a black JFK, have to fight a mummy in a retirement home.
And Elvis is Bruce Campbell. So
Elvis, obviously being Bruce Campbell.
We're already on our way. I have a vague memory of people not liking this when it came out. And me being like, you're all idiots. You just don't get it. It's like too highbrow for you. But then also feeling like it was maybe too highbrow for me, and I didn't like it as much as I like Army of Darkness and like other works by
Well, it's
Bruce
very
Campbell.
different. This is by the dude that made Phantasm and the really bad version of John Dies at the end. But it's
Very
a little
strange
slow. So I think if you're young and you go into this, it's more of a film and not like your standard Bruce Campbell one-liner kicking ass and doing stuff.
That's what I was about to say is now that I'm an old man, though, I finally get it. I actually love this movie. And I liked it before, where I was like, oh, it's weird and like different. Yeah. But now I loved it.
I like it a lot, and I really wanted. They were talking for years about doing a prequel to this, and it was going to be. And it was weird because in almost everything when they talk about this, like there's even a comic book for this, and they call it Bubba Ho-Tep, but it's about like Elvis. So like it's weird to say that, but I think it was gonna be called Bubba Ho-Tep versus like the female Draculas or something. and I'm like, but I believe it was supposed to be Bruce Campbell as like Elvis fighting these things, not a mummy fighting those things. So it's a strange whatever. But no, I love this. I think it's fun. If you like quirky, outlandish concepts in movies, and you heard that plot description and don't think this is straight up your alley, you obviously don't actually like those kind of movies.
Turns out, yeah.
But yeah, we're going to talk about this in great detail, so if you've seen it or don't care, follow us over to spoilers, and if not, pull out now.
If you need a place to rent content, you better listen. We're Cannibal Video, and we eat the competition.
All right, guys, so here we are for the spoilers of Bubba Ho-Tep. So Bubba Ho-Tep is an amazing movie on its own, but when you find out that it had a $500,000 budget, it's ridiculous.
Holy what?
And it makes a lot of things make sense, because like this is not...
That's amazing.
It has a feel like this was a lower end studio movie, but it really wasn't for $500,000. You're like what the fuck? Yeah, and that's just what having a real filmmaker does, who knows how to cut corners and do things.
Yeah, exactly. It just goes to show that like with a bare minimum to get certain like quality equipment, I guess, like cameras or film. Was this film maybe? I don't know if this was
at the time it should have been film, yeah.
Right? So like that alone, if you know what to do with it, can produce the look of a quote unquote real movie.
Yeah, and, for this budget, it also had a lot of time. They filmed this in 30 days, which for $500,000 you wouldn't expect a 30-day shoot.
So low, yeah.
It's nothing.
How'd you feed everybody?
They had a
yes.
I think it was a retirement home that was closed down. Like they actually had one they were filming in. Okay. Because the sets are awesome. So, and it has this great combination where it looks like a dilapidated, ridiculous building that like nobody's at. But then in certain scenes you're like, oh, 5 nurses just came out to help JFK back into his bed. You're like, oh no, people are working here. Bruce's room looks like a decrepit piece of shit.
It ain't much of a home, but it's all I got.
And he has like, a stranger as a roommate. And then JFK has like what looks like a presidential room with a blue carpet. He has like a nice bed. He has pictures of all the people that might have been associated with assassinating him on the walls.
All the pictures, but like Jackie O and everybody, like there's a whole like, government people. I think there's a little diorama recreation
Yes,
of
there
Dallas.
is.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That
Like those
the
little
detail.
things on that
Big
budget
time,
are
big time.
ridiculous. And it makes me just think, I would love to know like the story like, I had a friend, I said he gave me $300 and he made that for me. Like,
No, there must have been a lot of love put into all this or something, right? I feel like, but
I think the gentleman who made the costume for Bubba Ho-Tep made it for the cost of the materials because he does so much respect for this man. Like,
there you go.
He made Phantasm, man. Let's get in on this.
Okay, yeah, Don Costarelli, I believe.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Phantasm. You mentioned John Dies at the end. Also, the Beastmaster.
Yes,
Where
the
I'm
first
like,
one.
Oh my God, yes. But I'm like, oh, this dude, shit, I didn't even know. Yeah, and like kind of not much else, only like a few other things.
Yeah.
But that's enough. He's contributed, and that's great that he made this too. I didn't realize any sort of connection with anything else for this. It's nice to revisit it and have the background and be like, nice, something's happening here.
Yeah.
But if that thing wraps his lips around some elder's arsehole, who will be the wiser?
But this movie has a great vibe to it. Like I feel like, yes, it's slower than your average movie that Bruce Campbell's in, because he's kind of in these like schlocky, fun movies that like have like a good pacing of like humor and action.
Yeah.
While this is more like plot is set up, and it's an interesting plot. You have the idea that Elvis got tired of being Elvis.
I mean, the music wasn't mine anymore. I wasn't even me anymore. Just this thing they made up.
And he found an impersonator who was good enough to take over for him.
Oh my God.
And he swapped lives. And that's like a conspiracy theory that like that could be a thing because he kind of looked different later in life that I'm like, maybe
that line, because they're like, no, you're an Elvis impersonator, and he's like, I was impersonating myself.
Look, I was just impersonating myself, okay? I couldn't do nothing else. I don't have any problems. You're trying to say my brain's messed up, aren't you?
And then has to like tell the story and do the whole thing. Problem is, he also liked drugs more than me. Had a bad ticker, and that ruined the whole plan.
Yeah.
And my contract got burned up in a horrible barbecue accident. That's too dumb and too specific to be a lie.
Yeah.
But is he as crazy as Ozzie Davis, as JFK?
But so JFK
crazy,
though
right?
also is he crazy?
Yes.
Because on the back of his neck he has the wound that they're talking about.
The same hell's that.
Piece of my brain's made of sand.
I'm thinking with a bag of sand in here.
I'm thinking with sand here. I mean, I pick up some waves maybe from my brain, but someday, who knows? Somebody might just disconnect the battery at the White House.
No, like, I had that vague memory going in where I'm like, somebody's Elvis, someone's JFK, and at some point they have a moment of like, wait, are you not faking? Are you not faking? Some weird thing. And they don't really have that.
Yeah.
My brain just kind of smashed it together. But I think as an audience member, you go like, wait, is that real? Is he actually Elvis? What's going on?
The only thing that hurt me on JFK was his like, I have these magical prayer words or whatever that will save you, and like they're like just the shittiest thing ever. And I'm like,
You nasty thing from beyond the dead, no matter what you think or do, good things will never come to you.
I'm like, are you crazy? That seemed like a crazy man thing. He had a bag of sand though. I don't know.
The whole thing's crazy.
This whole thing.
You can't dye people black. It doesn't make any sense. The government has
Obviously,
ways.
you've never seen what the fuck is
Soul Man.
Well, Soul Man, yes, but
He was on
that
those
wasn't
pills.
dying. That was using suntan pills.
They're slipping those pills into Ozzie Davis's food.
There was a movie,
JFK's
I
food.
can't think of what it's called now, Iron Sky, where the Nazis turn a white astronaut turn a black astronaut into a white man as like a weird punishment thing.
Whoa.
That's how clever they are. They dyed me this color, all over. Can you think of a better way to hide the truth than that?
But this one's based on a short story. In the original short story, you have John Dillinger is also a character, the gangster.
Oh man.
But he is played by a woman, so it's like a sex changed, like gangster.
I did the sex change to hide out.
Yeah,
I'm old.
I didn't read the
amazing.
story myself. I just seen little bits and bobbles that gave me that information. But it's interesting. I would have liked if they would have went one further and that Lone Ranger-esque character was the Lone Ranger.
Right,
Like
like he's
even if
John
it was
Wayne
even if
or
it was
something,
a humorous take on it where it's like, no, that's the actor that played the Lone Ranger, but
Yes.
now he's old and he thinks he's the Lone Ranger,
thinks he's doing
and he
it.
actually has guns with silver bullets, and he does, like, that does affect the mummy in some
my
way.
God, that's so
that could be
much.
a fun twist on this.
Definitely. I just like the whole thing where he's like, the only person who believed me was Jack. He's my friend here. And then it like cuts to them. And then you're like, oh, cool. How's he doing? Whatever. And then he launches into his whole, I'm JFK. And then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, God, the only one who believes him is someone who's like crazier than him.
That's where they took a piece of my brain. I got a little bag of sand up there now.
Isn't it weird?
Makes the
This is
whole
not a
thing
retirement
interesting.
home for the criminally insane or
No.
something. The idea that there are 3 people that think they're somebody else
Yes, the idea
is very
that it's like
strange.
Arkham Asylum.
Yeah,
in there
yeah,
and
more or
everyone's
less.
These famous people. Yeah, it's great. It's wonderful.
It is
Yeah.
wonderful.
And it's a nice touch. The short story and the movie, I think, and like part of why it's slow and maybe less appealing to a Bruce Campbell fan person is because it's it's about death and getting older and like all these
Yeah.
like heavy topics.
Well, and like it
is
ends
awesome. Yeah.
depressingly with like he
Yes.
dies.
Right.
Winning, he gets to keep his soul
Still have my soul. Still mine.
from getting sucked out of his asshole, which
and then
is always good.
and then shat into the visitor's toilet. Like it's so good.
I'll be damned if I let some foreign graffiti-writing, soul-sucking son of a bitch in an oversized cowboy hat and boots take my friends' souls and shit them down the visitor's toilet.
well, there's some great lines in this. Just the overall like the
both die,
plot
yeah.
idea when you explain that you're
Yeah.
like oh yeah, I have to see that. Like
Yeah.
that's an amazing idea. I
and
want
it-
more of that.
And it's simultaneously, I forget the phrase that people use, but like it's crazy and dumb, but it takes itself seriously in this great
Yeah.
way. And like in the movie, when they lay it out, when they explain like, oh, well, this mummy probably sucks. And he's probably like barely getting enough energy to live from old person to old person.
Yeah.
But he's got a good gig because old people die all the time. Who's going to believe anybody who says they saw a mummy walk through the wall? And
Yeah.
also, he can just keep just sipping on these old people and just live. It's awesome. And you're like, that's perfect. Oh no, you're right.
The mummy has a cool look, but I would have liked it to be explained a little more.
Yeah,
I
why
would have
is he
liked
all,
I would have liked the guy driving the bus to have been wearing that outfit and him took it off of him. Because
Oh yeah, because we're wearing like cowboy
he's
boots,
wearing a
right?
cowboy boots and a cowboy hat with like a like he looks
Okay,
like almost
yes.
like a Native American type of cowboy.
Okay.
Because like how that hat looks on him and stuff, like he has a cool swagger to him and I
Yes.
like it, but it doesn't necessarily fit with
Hmm.
being a Ho-Tep.
I had the same thought of like because like when he's walking down the hall in that awesome scene, you hear like the clink clink of like the boots.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's great. Wait, why is he wearing boots? Like, what is he doing? Where do you get those boots
I don't
from?
know. I like the weird hobbly look to it. It's like all the characters have an interesting gait to their walk and stuff because Bruce is old and is using a walker. The mummy is kind of decrepit walking, but
Yeah.
not your standard like dragging my back leg as I walk. Like it's this
Right.
whole new thing. It's like this cowboy walk. And then JFK is in his like motorized wheelchair thing, which
Yeah.
is awesome.
And when
It's
he's
this
not,
great
he
cast of
seems pretty
characters.
spry when he's not in the wheelchair there or something. Why do you need this wheelchair? But
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
I
It works
think,
for the
I think
for
the writer
finale.
confused which president was in a wheelchair.
Oh god. Yes. But no, I took it to be some like, okay, it's
He's
fine.
old. He's got
It works.
sandbags in his head.
It works better for the finale if it is
Well,
a wheelchair.
it's a fun thing where when
Yes.
Bruce like catches his ride on it and like goes
Yes.
through. Just this whole business of like spraying him
Whoa.
with like the combination of different
Accelerants.
accelerants that can burn this guy down.
Yes.
And the first time it doesn't work, and he's like, I'll try it again. And
Yeah,
then
he's
it
like,
does.
well, I must not have set him on fire enough. And then he sets him on fire a second time fully, and he
Yeah.
immediately jumps into like the water. And I'm like, I misremembered this movie. They don't win. He just put out but then it's
The souls do fly out of him pretty quickly.
well then it's this charred corpse floating out on the water. I'm like, oh, they do win. Okay,
Yeah.
shit.
They
But he
didn't really
jumped in
make
the
any
water.
notes of like through books or like how do you kill a mummy and that was the way to do it. They're just like, hey, shoot for the stars, kid. We got this.
But they acknowledge that. He says like, are you sure we're doing this right? And he's like, yeah, fire cleanses this. I don't know. He like says some weird shit, and you're like, yeah,
It does do that.
because you wouldn't know. It's great.
Do we know what the hell we're doing, man?
No.
Little details in this are definitely the standouts that make this really pop.
Yeah.
There's this crazy scene for no reason. This old lady just walks by someone on an iron lung, starts like petting their head, and then takes their glasses and leaves.
While she's petting her head, she's like, oh, like she's into it.
Yeah.
And then she grabs her glasses and she goes, no. It's so terrifying.
And, like-
but luckily she gets fucking killed by
But
that mummy.
part of me is kind of like, yeah, when you're old, you should be a crazy klepto person. It's kind of like if you're poor, it's like, well, you might as well steal shit if you're homeless and stuff, because why not? What's the downside here? And she got chocolate, she got hers.
I was gonna say, she also steals that chocolate and she goes back and she's enjoying herself. No, yeah, because why that works is because when some people get old, they're just like, I can say whatever I want. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Excuse you, move. I'm sitting there.
Especially if you're not with family. It's like, well, what are you going to do?
What do you have to lose?
I get a little joy seeing like somebody happy about candy, like, oh, like how she does, like slips in each time, doesn't keep the cap off, like, oh, I'll just have one. Yeah, I'll have another. Like, little stupid thing, like.
But she's a monster who stole
she's a
someone's
monster.
glasses.
But
Okay.
there's something about it where somebody wrote that. Like, that's, she's not a main, it's like a little throwaway nothing, but it's so well done, and the weird tchotchkes in her room, like these little elements that really make this feel like a movie, and not just some bullshit throwaway thing. $500,000, it's so low. Like the idea that they have these details. To have an iron lung machine in general, like, we don't have the budget for that, John, sorry, get out of here.
Yeah, no, it feels too much like a movie. There must be some angle where they got $3 million worth of like love.
Something.
To someone being like, I will help you, and pulls up a trailer of stuff and starts working.
I just can't imagine it.
To piggyback off of that, right, you have the whole fight scene with her in the room or like whatever. This culminates in Bruce Campbell waking up and seeing her in the doorway like, and like, getting like pulled away.
It's a really good pull.
But that's so perfect because we've already established, they do this 2 or 3 times. Bruce Campbell's lying there, and it's this awesome, like filmically or whatever, especially for no money, like how do you do this? He's drifting in and out of consciousness. And how do we indicate that? Well, it's like people in his room. It's like a lockdown shot, and they're sped up, and they're coming and going, and people appear suddenly, like when the guy sweeping the floor like turns a corner or like does something, because that's when he like woke up a little bit, and but like to him he just reappears farther down the room, or someone like slams the drawer and suddenly she's in the room. All these little things, and like I'm making it out to be more than it is, but I thought it was such like a nice touch.
It's effective,
and that's why he's not immediately like, holy shit, they killed Mrs. Robinson, I saw it. He's like, I don't know what's a dream, I don't know what's real. Days flow into each other. It's like this nightmare, and it really conveys it visually really well, where he's not like there's no voiceover like, I wasn't sure if I dreamt that, I'm just gonna act like it didn't happen.
They didn't on the nose a lot until they did, then it was bad. Like the weird Egyptian writing, and then like what the mummy is saying. God. I was like, that's not from this movie. That's a different movie.
That's from John Dies at the end.
Yeah, like, why are you doing that?
That's when the shit, starts to mix in. We're talking about the hieroglyphics, right? The floating things. They're funny because it's like Anubis dog ass liquor, and like it has ass wipe, and it has like a hand and like a little dog and a little penis, right? But like it still is like, whoa, and little like giant CG hieroglyphics floating out of his mouth. That is don't do that. Too far.
And that might have been a large chunk of the budget.
Right? He's rendering those letters and symbols.
Why'd you do that?
No, very very strange, bad choice that doesn't fit with the rest of it.
Definitely. I like the scarab a lot, which I'll call a scarab. It's really some different type of insect, because
I call it a scarab in my notes.
It like is a scarab, but then like a head pops out from like where like in between mandibles or something. You're like, what am I looking at here? And they have a weird fight, and it's flying and doing things. And this is where you get kind of like, that's the most Bruce movie in the movie.
That's the most Sam Raimi. Because the camera's like on the scarab, going past Bruce Campbell's head as he's like, and doing the whole thing, and then he pans it on the wall, and it's like ding 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 ding, all the thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great.
when he's like, treasure. He's a treasure.
No, it's wonderful. Like, and right from the start, even when he's, this is going to be a weird sentence. When he locks eyes with his roommate who's dying and like making weird noises as he dies. He makes a face like this and does the Elvis lip as part of his reaction to like, well, come on now, Jack, what are you doing? He's like doing his thing. Like, this is so good. He's so good at this Elvis shit. What the fuck? Yeah,
I love when he does the Elvis, like, don't make me do my stuff on you, baby.
When he starts doing the karate?
Like that
oh
shit.
My God, the karate poses.
Don't take care of business.
All right, man, let's go.
Like, he's not like a dead-on King impersonator, but he's a
No,
great like Bruce as the King impersonator. Like,
I mean,
it's
the
such
word
a fun
like
thing.
you are getting like an impression of Elvis.
Yeah.
It's not like impersonating Elvis,
No.
right? Because you're just getting Elvis vibes.
But yeah, there are vibes that are so blended with who he is
Yes.
that it makes it such a better picture.
what does he say? Mucho mojo. I got this medicine bag. Like
Yeah.
this weird like, and that fits with my fake ignorant idea of who Elvis is.
Full of all kinds of lucky stuff. See here? Mucho mojo.
Which I think is more important than being like accurate to Elvis.
I
Right?
think that was
And has the
a
Bruce
nod
thing.
to the writer. I think
Oh,
he had a
yeah?
book called like Mucho Mojo or
Okay.
something. I read something.
Well, just that he has this weird leather sack full
Yeah,
of
yeah,
trinkets.
yeah. And
It's
they're
my-
all like the
it's-
little good deed or like, like
It's the
memories.
Purple Heart, and it's the picture and his daughter, and all these weird things.
What's that you got hanging around your neck?
That's my medicine bag. Indians used to wear 'em into battle.
That'll protect me. It's like, what are you talking about? But I feel like that weird spiritual, like, a shaman in the desert gave me this sack, and I feel like that fits with this
Yeah, no,
old
sure.
Elvis as this old Bruce Campbell as Elvis, aesthetic like perfectly. Yeah.
I do like Elvis. Like I watch a lot.
I
of
don't even
Elvis.
like Elvis. Yeah,
I
you
watch
do?
a lot of Elvis things.
Okay.
I like the things about Elvis less than the things that Elvis was actually in. And this movie,
3,000 Miles to Graceland.
sure, Protecting the King is a great one. This movie has a lot of Elvis movies in it, but none of those are actually Elvis movies. Those are all just random clips from like royalty-free movies that look kind of like Elvis.
Oh, there's somebody in like a leather jacket.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
Oh, I thought that those were all real. Those were all real
No,
Elvis movies.
they on this budget you couldn't afford to actually license any Elvis movies, and for the same reason there's no Elvis music in this whole movie.
That's true.
Because where would that come from? There's no money for it, and I honestly think it's better for it
that?
because an Elvis song would break the tone because it's not really it's comedic, but it's not a comedy really,
Right.
and it's a horror, but it's not really horrific. It's
Yeah.
like it's
No,
this,
this
it's
is,
this movie. It's kind of it's kind of like a drama almost
this
about
is-
life and
this is
and like
more,
dying and
yeah.
having cancer and being old and your family's gone. They don't care about you anymore.
This is more Johnny Cash than Elvis, right? So
Kinda.
it fits with that
Kinda.
slower, darker. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
They could have licensed some cash though. No,
A little cash.
couldn't
No,
afford
I'm
that.
shocked at the Elvis movies. I guess I'm off on my timeline because I'm an idiot. But like, I was like, that's public domain. You can just show clips of Elvis being a flamingo or something, whatever.
No.
It's fine. No, I guess it's not.
Well, yeah.
Or like Warner Brothers is like, no, and like has it.
I'm
whoever
pretty
has
sure
it.
that's that same Mickey Mouse bullshit where they pay every year to keep that in their own
Exactly.
fucking
They
pocket.
go like, change the laws, Jack.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Money.
Here's a
Counting
crisp
money,
20.
cigar. Yeah, exactly. Like, okay.
Look, man, do I look like an ichthyologist to you? Big damn bugs, all right? The size of my fist, size of a peanut butter banana sandwich, man.
Oh God, literally everything that he says is gold. He gives little speeches. There's like voiceover. There's all these lines. I don't want to like do them all here or whatever, but like there's a lot of, I guess, from the story, like written stuff that they work into the script here as voiceover, or like he says like, oh, because like there's those two women there, the nurse and like his roommate's daughter, and he says F you to them or whatever, and they just laugh, and that causes him to give like a brief soliloquy about like, you get old, you can't even cuss anybody out, everything you do is worthless or like this or that. And he starts
Yeah.
going off on this thing. I was like, there's so many good, honestly terrifying and heart-wrenching things about life, death, how things change, getting old, right?
Yeah.
It's tough.
How long have I been here? Am I really awake now, or am I just dreaming I'm awake? How could my plans have gone so wrong?
No, it's a fun movie. I've seen Bruce do a couple talks, and there's always like a question about this one.
Nice.
And then like I think more than once he's brought up that he's like, well, I only had one question when I read that script. Do you see the penis? And you don't.
I'm going to lube up my own crankshaft. Thank you very much. I think describing the penis and not seeing it is even better.
Stick figures on the shithouse wall.
That's it? I mean, we're investigating a sculling in the hall, trying to figure out who attacked you last night. You bring me in here to look at stick pictures on the shithouse wall, man?
That's so dumb.
Yes, it is dumb.
Yes.
But is it any dumber than anything else? Maybe actually.
Maybe.
No, like, as I think about it, that might be a thing that I would pull out of the film. That and him like transparently just like walking like a ghost through the door. I was like, how did the mummy do that? Why does that happen?
Well, they say, how do you do that? He's like checking the
Yeah.
door. Like, was there a fake door here? But the shithouse wall things, like what what like made it for me
Was what it said?
was that Ozzie Davis produces like an etching or whatever, like a rubbing that he did of it. And I had some old books I translated, and he starts talking. I'm like, wow, how'd this happen? What's going on?
But the translation is pretty much for a good time call.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
Cleopatra does the nasty.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Pharaoh gobbles donkey goobers. And the bottom line, Cleopatra does the nasty.
Say what?
No, I don't think it's any dumber than anything else, really. I think it's exactly as dumb as the other stuff.
Sorry, man.
This movie begins, much like, I guess, Pulp Fiction, certain movies, with some definitions on the screen defining both Ho-Tep and Bubba, which I found very helpful, because I don't know if your average person understands what this title means, and I think that they knew that. However, my favorite part of that intro is that they list the BC years correctly, with the higher number first because they're backwards. I am autistic or something, and I see sometimes they flip that, which might be correct, but it's not correct to me, where the numbers go in like ascending order, which is wrong because the earlier year should be first. And this says like 3,000 to 1,500 or whatever. 10 points right there.
They do say Bubba Ho-Tep in actuality also.
Yeah,
which
some kind of a Bubba Ho-Tep.
I like when there's the titular line. I think that's almost
drop.
important. It makes me almost a little angry when I'm like, what the fuck is that name? Just a marketing name? Is that a name that's better for sales?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. No, it must have been the other way around, where that's the name based on it being in there, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, who was going to believe a couple of nuts? Elvis and Jack Kennedy explaining that Kemosabe was gunning for a mummy and cowboy duds? Some kind of Bubba Ho-Tep.
And I actually don't know what the name of the short story was, but I assume that's what the name of the short story
I would
was.
hope. I don't know, but yeah.
I'll pop it up here. We'll know shortly.
Now it's time. Time to be a little of what I'd always fantasized being. A hero.
Yeah, this movie's super fun. It's definitely something, if you've not seen, should be checking out.
I don't know. We keep saying fun, but like it's weird because everyone dies. But but it's a happy ending.
I enjoy the whole time. There's moments where I'm like, yeah, I love anything that gets me souped. Well, when he does his shit, he gets ready to do whatever. Seeing an old man persevere is cool. And knowing that it's the king is also really fun. The outlandish nature of him with a black JFK and a mummy is something that will always keep me awesome.
By the king, you mean Bruce Campbell, of course. Of course.
Hail to the king, baby.
Hail to the king, baby.
No, literally, and it is fun for all those reasons. It makes me happy or makes me feel good or something. Yeah, which is really interesting
for a depressing movie too. I agree though that the tone of it, I walk away happy, and you realize he's okay with dying. It wasn't a bad thing. He had nothing to live for anyway, and not to dump on the dude. Yeah. His family thinks he's already dead.
Right.
His best friend, no one understands him, is gone now, and recently, but yes. He just in quotes saved his world, so he can rest. He can go.
I think it's special is my bottom line. I'm glad that we revisited it, and I think it holds up tremendously, and everyone should watch it.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
If you want to support the show, head over to cannibalvideo.com, pick up some merch.
And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's something.
Whatever.
Fuck these motherfuckers.
Hey, man. You're on the floor.
No shit.
Cannibal Video has everything you need. A wide array of VHS and DVDs. We ate the competition.